In this episode of our Builder series, we'll be trying out Claude Code to build a coffee shop app, complete with a functioning front end and back end, as well as versions that can be deployed as a web app, iOS app, and Android app. Claude Code is one of the most hyped up tools over the last couple of years, second to only ChatGPT. Builders claim there's nothing it can't do, and there's nothing it can't build. But as always, I'm putting that to the test, so let's get started. Right now, I'm in the Claude app, and there's three different sections to the Claude app. There's the Claude chat, there's Claude Cowork, and then there's Claude Code. We'll need to be in Claude Code for what we're doing today. And actually, this is just one way to do. This is actually just one way to work with Claude Code. You can go over here to your local environment, so this is on your computer, or you can set up a default cloud environment and work in the cloud. And you can set it up what folder you're going to be in. And you can basically set this up to just start working in the cloud for you and just start working on your code, on your project, and just update you as you go along. However, a secondary way you can do this is to use Claude Code inside the terminal. And a third way is to use it in an IDE like VS Code, Cursor, Anti-Gravity, etc. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to actually use it inside of Cursor. So I'm going to switch over. Okay, here I am over here in Cursor. And first I'm just going to start by creating a new project. We'll just call it Claude Code Coffee App. And we'll set that as the folder. Okay, and we can move these around and change the settings up as much as we like. The reason I like this is inside a traditional IDE, we're going to get all of our files here. So I'll be able to see everything individually, check on different things, work in the terminal if I want to. And then we have the initial cursor agent. We won't really be using that. I'm going to turn that off because we're either going to be using the Claude Code plugin, which we can use, or we can use Claude Code in the terminal. So I guess we'll go ahead and start in the plugin. Okay, so the plugin can only discuss. Okay, so the plugin can't upload files. It can only reference files in your folder. So I'll go back here. I'll create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it images. And I'm going to import all those Stitch mockups, all those Google Stitch mockups that we have, those screenshots. So again, it's just 10 different screenshots where we use the same, use from the same prompt in Lovable and in the other projects. So I'm just bringing it here into the images. Yep, there it is. So now we'll go back to the Claude Code plugin. So I'm going to say build a coffee app. It should be a web-based app that could be a PWA. Follow this PDR and use the images as reference for the visual of what the app should look like. Then I'm just going to paste the PDR in right there, or the PRD. And then create a new line. And I'm going to reference images or screenshots are in images folder. All right. So I told it that the screenshots are in the image folder, gave it the prompt, and we're just going to go ahead and run it. All right. Okay. So now it's set up a to-do list of all the things it needs to do. And I'm just going to allow it to go ahead and do that. It's setting up the base requirements for the project, setting up the packages, everything we need. It's saying it's setting up a React Invite project, which is just fine. So I'm going to allow everything. Have it set to edit automatically, but it still asks you for certain permissions. You can run it at YOLO mode in terminal, which we might do in a little bit. And then it won't ask any of those prompts. It'll just kind of do everything on its own. So it's set up the base code for the project, and now it's moving over to creating the design system. So the colors, the typography, the fonts we'll be using. And if we go back just to check out that list, after it does the design system, it's going to build out the navigation and the routing structure. This is just, linking all the pages together and building out that navigation. Then it's going to create the menu/home screen. Then we'll build the item detail screen. So like a product detail screen, implement the cart functionality and build out that screen, create the checkout flow for both the guest and the logged in user. And then it's going to build order confirmation and status screens, implement the auth screen, so sign in and sign up. We're actually going to have to tell it how to do that as well as sign a database. Again, like those type of things are kind of handled for you in the systems of like Lovable, Base 44, especially in the no code tools like Adalo and Flutterflow. But however, we're going to have to set up all of that on our end. And when the app is done building, we're going to have to figure out how to port it over as an Android app and a iOS app. And as an iOS app, we're going to need some tools like Xcode, Test Flight, etc. But we'll worry about all that when we get there. First, we need to build out the main functionality of the coffee app, and that's what we're working on. It's also going to create some accounts, favorites, and past order screens, add state management for the cart, authentication and orders, and configure the PWA. So that's the main to-do list. And let's just get back to it. It's just doing its thing. So again, I'm kind of going to speed this up along and we'll cut to where everything's finished and check out what it's built so far. And if you see, it's kind of jumping around. It's created the design system, but it's also went ahead and already configured the state management for the cart, the authentication and the orders, and it's configured the PWA. So now it's, going back to building some of the things out. It's actually working on the bottom nav at the moment. And it's completely fine if you're completely fine if you're non-technical and you've never done this before. Again, like when I'm done with this, you need a certain command to run the program so we can see it locally on our machine and actually test it and play with it. I know this command just from building with these apps so much, but you do not need to know the command. You can just ask Claude Code or Cursor, whatever you're building with, to, hey, run the project. And it automatically knows what it means. And it'll feed you the output link, the localhost /3000 or whatever the case may be. And then you can start playing with your app. Okay, awesome. We're back. And a few things. That probably took about 13 minutes, give or take. And it used up 83% of the context window, which means we can continue talking. And then after 17%, Claude Code will auto compact this conversation so we can start a new one, or we might just want to start a new conversation altogether. But let's go over the response. It says it's complete. It says the app's running at localhost 5173. That might be because I have some other programs or processes running. But let's see, it says implemented features such as the core screens, authentication and account. So sign in, sign up, profiles, favorites, past orders, and then technical features. It's PWA ready with service worker and web manifest, persistent state, cart, favorites, orders using Zustin and local storage. We're going to have to change that out. But responsive design matching the reference images, clean design system with gold accent color. Okay, so at least it must have seen the images because it knows we're working with gold. Remember, it was black and gold is our theme. 8% tax calculation. We'll again change that eventually to be based on whatever state you're in. Like here it's 6, so that doesn't make sense for me. And then bottom navigation, and then here's the project structure. So all right, all in all, we have everything, but let's go ahead and check out this app. I'm excited. Very excited to see what it's built so far. And again, this is 4.6 open. We'll see how it did on the first row. One shot. Okay. Looks pretty good. Close to the output of Lovable, I would say. We're going to want to add this padding in this wide web view. So we have our favorites. Yep. Okay, awesome. So let's go back to the menu. Oh, it's huge. All right. So one thing, let's make it smaller. Okay, so here it is in more of a mobile view. We can add to the cart. Okay, so if something's highlighted, you can only search for those items, so I can't. Yep. Okay, but let's add a croissant. Okay, so we have a total. Good. We can't check out with our total yet, though. There's no checkout. and it made this green kind of like it did with Lovable, but that's okay. We'll fix that. But right now, let's say the main priority is getting a web view in better state, and then setting up how this works a little better, and we'll go from there. So again, I'm gonna start a new conversation. In web view, our app just goes from completely end to end, left and right of the screen. Can we add some padding and add a more proper web view that you would see in a modern website or app? It should have appropriate spacing. Right now everything's too flush against the edges, so please improve and just add a 4-point spacing grid system with nice negative space and padding. But again, it's working on the next update, which again should be a more desktop friendly view. So we'll come right back. We're done, or Claude Code's done actually, and it says it's implemented the spacing, so the web view should look better, and it actually implemented the 4-point design, implemented the 4-point spacing system across our entire app. So let's check it out and go back, and we should have something a little better this time. Okay, we see we have some padding on the side even in mobile now. Oh, it keeps it in a mobile-like view. Okay, that's not what we wanted, so let's go back. Okay, you've implemented a better spacing system. However, the mobile view is or the desktop view is simply the mobile view with a lot of spacing on the left and right. We wanted a unique responsive design with a unique version or a unique layout for tablet and desktop as well, not just a mobile view. So have it be responsive, have it still be mobile first, but ensure that it's built out correctly, that when viewed on a desktop and a web browser, you're making use of that space. You're right. So it acknowledged how it built it, and it has a to-do list to update everything. And of course, we'll cut back to where it's done and see how it did with this update. Okay, Claude Code is done. It took 3 minutes, and it says it's updated different views to where there's a mobile view, a tablet view, and a desktop view. The navigation should switch up. So let's go ahead and just check it out. Okay, awesome. It gave us this sidebar for when we're in desktop. It's a choice. Not my favorite. I would center this if we kept it. Not against it though. So for this version of the app, we might keep it. Okay. So we'll head back. This is good, but the main part of the website, the main page, when shown on desktop, isn't centered. It's aligned to the left. Please center it. So we'll let it do its thing there. But actually, let's go back while it's doing that. And let's see. Oh, okay, it's centered now. That's better. I'm happier with that. It takes us to the account. Okay, let's make it smaller and see how it looks. Okay. So this is more of like a larger tablet view. Still works. Then we start to get a bigger tablet all the way into actual mobile. Okay, so it's responsive at least. I do like that now. Let's go back to Cursor. For the food and drink categories, make it so that when I click out, I can unselect those, because right now when I search, it only is for what's in that category, which is fine, but there's no way to unselect it and search everything again. So please fix this. And as you can see, you don't need to know exact terminology or be the most technical or the most profound with words. You just have to describe what the issue is and give the AI a shot at fixing it. Now, it might not always work the best and it might not always understand correctly, but again, that's okay. We just kind of keep working with it. Right now, just the flow of going back and forth and the time in between generations, those are like the biggest hurdles to building with AI that I've kind of encountered in my experience. Okay, and just like that, it's done. So let's head back. All right, perfect. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, I just did a hard refresh. Okay, nice. You can double click it and that gets rid of it. Okay, so that works. And then from a UX standpoint, it just might be beneficial to have another button that says all. So let's just go back where the category buttons are for, coffee, pastries, etc. Add one more that says all, that it just selects the entire menu. Okay, while it's working on that, let's just go back and check what all we need. We actually need to, okay, so it has all now. That's perfect. We need to make these to where we can drag them, because on mobile, I think that's still hurting us. Let's see. Yeah, I have no way to get to the other one. I can't scroll or drag. So let's go back. Add scrolling or dragging, both effects, to these category buttons, so that when you're in mobile and the other buttons are out of view, you can scroll or drag to see the rest. Okay, it finished the last one and now it's doing that. Okay, it's saying it already had some overflow, but it's going to enhance it by adding the to touch and the scroll. So it's adding that now. We'll just give it a second to do that and then we'll check it out. Okay, so it says it's set up now. Let's head back. There we go. Let's exit out of that. Okay, yep, this is draggable. It scrolls. The scroll is much smoother than the drag. So I'm just going to go back and say the drag isn't very smooth. The scroll is much smoother. Can you improve the drag to be more smooth like the scroll? And we're just going to go back. Other than that, we're good here. We'll probably get rid of this button. I don't think we really need it. We need to add to cart button on the individual items. Drag still isn't smooth. I'm not sure if it's done, so I'm not trying to judge it quite yet. Okay, no, it's not still working. Okay, it says it's changed some things. All right, let's go back, refresh. The drag still isn't quite as smooth, but we'll come back to that. I'm not going to get hung up on just, the drag, because again, the scroll is really smooth. Favorites looks good, everything. Okay, so it looks good on mobile. We'll check desktop again. Make the button next to the search a search button, like a confirmation, a check, an icon, something to actually start the search. I know that we have the auto search, like so it starts to populate just using actually just get rid of the button and make it full width, please. Make the search bar full width. I was going to say you could make this button here the search button, but it's really not needed because again, I can just type things and get what I want. Yeah, like it's pretty fast. So we're going to keep that the way it is. It updated, the button is gone now, so that's not needed. Pretty good. And again, you can change like spacing and padding and border lines, strokes, all these sort of things to like your preferences. But we're just trying to make something that looks really good. Now, I've noticed every time I've hovered over this, there's kind of been like some glitching. I'm going to refresh and maybe that's okay. It keeps happening. Okay, could be because it's still working. So let's go back. I don't want to, prejudge it. Okay, yeah, I think that might have been it. It's working much better. Hovering doesn't cause any weird effects. Okay, yep, it works good. Set the categories to all by default. Okay, so we'll get that set up. Add to cart button to all of the individual product pages. Okay, it's saying it already has one basically, but there's buttons, but there isn't here. That's what I don't like. We need to change this, please. I also want to make it more like the lovable version to where it slides up when we click and then we can drag it back down. Each item has a add to cart button next to it in the menu, but when I click on that individual item and I'm taken to that details screen, there's no add to cart button from there. I would like there to be an add to cart button from there. Also wouldn't like this to be full screen. Please save some negative space, some white space towards the top. Add a blurred shadow behind the product and make it to where we can slide the product up or down to where if I slide it down, it exits out and takes us back to the main screen menu. And if we have the individual item pop up open, have it to where if I click on the outside of the screen in the blurry shadowed area, that exits out and has the individual item screen slide back down, taking us to the main menu screen. Okay, so this was quite a detailed fix. I'm kind of asking for a add to cart button here. I want this to be a little smaller to where it's further down. I want there to be some black shadowing behind it to where we don't just immediately see the main menu screen behind here. And I want the ability to be exit out or slide it down. Again, that's a whole lot, especially all at once. The AI may get tripped up on that, but let's see how it does. Okay, we're back. It says it's made those changes for us. So let's check it out. Okay, boom. It does exactly what I wanted. I don't like the scroll. Yep, I can drag it though. Always show the menu behind the item, but just underneath the blur and black transparency. Add some padding around the image. Also make sure I can't drag the image. I'm only dragging the card up and down. And as you'll see, reached the 100% of the context. So it's going to compact the conversation and keep it going here shortly. Yep, there it goes right there, compacting. And that just means it's taking the entire conversation up until this point, compacting it into a small summary that it can understand. So that way, when we start to continue the conversation, it keeps having that compact memory as like the starting point, reference point. So we have that context window more opened up. But we didn't lose context necessarily. It knows more or less what we're still talking about. And again, I'm going to let it finish implementing this change and then the padding around the image change that I have typed in. And then from there, I want to give it a command to check the usage. Because again, with Claude Code, it doesn't necessarily say we have a set number of prompts, like 100, 400 prompts, etc., or 400 credits. We just kind of have the amount that we have with, and it's pretty much you have a 5-hour window before you can hit the limit, and then you have a weekly limit as well. So we'll check to see what our limits are after we run this. And again, we're using the smartest model, Opus 4.6. There's also the Sonnet, but Opus is the better, smarter tool, the better builder. So we're going to try to see how far that can get us, at least with all the bulk main features. We might do smaller tweaks with Sonnet later on, but we're just trying to do the bulk now with Opus and see what we get. And hopefully we won't hit too many of the limits. Okay, so it says it's made those updates that I asked for. Let's go back and check. Okay, so we'll check on an item. Yep, much better. That's much cleaner. Yes, there we go. But one last thing I want to do is make it to where it scrolls up. So make it to where the whole card scrolls up when I scroll down to see the individual item details. Right now, there's just kind of a scroll window inside of it, and it's not a lot of room. It'd be much better if we could just scroll this whole card element up. And I know we were going to check usage, but I just want to get this knocked out. Then we'll go ahead and go back to checking usage. Okay, awesome. Says it's done. Let's check it out. Oh, okay. So there's some changes I want, but we're going to check on that usage first. There's these slash commands here that tell you about it. So I can just click account and usage. It's loading the usage data, but I'm pretty sure I can also type slash usage and get that same pop up. So we'll see what it comes out to. Okay, it's taking a while, so I'm just going to go over to Claude. Okay, so we're not very far into our setting. We're 33% and it resets in an hour. And then for the week, we used 18%. So we still have a way to go, which is good to go or good to know. Okay, so then bring that down and start the card off way higher. You should be able to see some of the text at least. Right now, you only show the image. It's way too low. And again, we'll go back while it builds that and works on that. Just because right now we're a little into an hour, maybe hour, 5 minutes. So I just want to see like what an hour gets you in Claude Code. We have all this built so far. Let's add something to our favorites. Yep, it's there. Let's add an Americano. Yep. Awesome. It works. So we have decent functionality, decent project. It's all set up pretty good. It's responsive now. And again, this is all in the first hour, 1 hour building. Again, we didn't have to do the strategizing and the development of like creating the PRD, the spec, making screens. So that saved us 45 minutes to an hour, but just strictly build time, which Lovable took us 3.5 hours. In Claude Code, we're looking at about an hour so far. Pretty good, I must say. Okay, and you can at least see some text now. You see the price. You're not just seeing that. So that's good. Let's try make it to where you see all of the text and add a little white space underneath. Just so we don't have to scroll. And while it's working on that, we can see we need a checkout flow. And we need to set up the database because this may work, but it may not. But I'm not really even. I guess we can. And we go. Oh, okay, it says we created an account, and it made us a little avatar person. Interesting. All this looks good. Looks very similar to the last builds, but again, there's still no way to buy. So let's get that going. Okay, so those are my favorites. Let's say another favorite I want to add is a food item. We'll add the blueberry muffins, or actually added it to cart, add it to my favorites. Then we'll go to my favorites. There it is under food. Then let's log out. Am I signed out? Yep, guess. Okay, then go to favorites. Okay. So this is the problem of not really having a database set up. And with a database, you can go with a few different options. You can go with Firebase, you can go with Supabase, and then you can use a more like newer technology like Convex, which actually uses TypeScript to create the database on the front end. It's kind of like a newer thing. I'm a big fan. It's really fast. It's pretty forgiving and pretty flexible with the free plan. So that's what we're going to set up next. Okay, now let's set up our database. I want to use Convex. I have a Convex account. I'm not sure if I'm logged in, but I do want to create a new project in Convex and have that be our database and integrate it. Again, if you've never used Convex or set up a database, you just tell the AI you want it and it'll walk you through. It'll send me any links that I need to click on and log into and that sort of thing. So, like again, it says we don't have it, so we need to install it. Again, kind of an upside with a tool like Lovable or Base 44 is it takes care of this and like pre-packages the database and wraps it for you to where it looks more instantaneous and it's a little bit more easier to manage using their UI. But again, it's all just, what you're comfortable doing and anything's, usable. Again, Claude Code, while we have to do more, it's way more flexible. Again, like Lovable, we couldn't export without the help of other tools, like still being in Claude Code or Cursor. We couldn't export it to the App Store. We couldn't create versions for iOS and Android. We will be able to do that here this time. So it's just, give and take, give and pull. So we get the flexibility, but there's a little bit more work. Well, okay, so it says I need to run this in the terminal. I can copy it, paste it in, run it. And I said I wanted to create a new project. Claude Code Coffee App, that works for me. We're going to do a cloud deployment, setting everything up. I think we're good to go. Convex is set up. Finish linking it with the new project we just made. It's called Claude Code Coffee Shop, and set it all up through the command line. And it may need me to set some different things myself, but we'll see. Okay, it just went to Convex for me. Okay, here's the project. It's open, the database. Okay. Nope, it's working on the database now, hooking everything up. And as we see, that was, go back. My database is coffee shop app DM Daniel Montgomery. So we're in my Convex account. Okay, so now run the app Convex. Then it says do this in another terminal. So we'll just create another terminal here. All right, awesome. I think we should be set up and good to go. Now, however, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I'm not logged in. And I don't think my account I just made should work anymore since we updated the database after the fact. But we'll see. It might have carried over. Oh, it did carry over. Smart. I like that. I like that. Okay, so let's go. Okay, there's no users in our Convex. Okay. So let's go back. Okay, there's a user with the email dan@nocodedan.com that's using our native database, not our Convex database. Please delete this user and make sure all users that are created using Convex and that there's no discrepancies. So it's going to get rid of that. Let's go back. Probably be better if I sign out. All right, perfect. So it says it's updated everything. And it says if I was still logged in, next time I went to use the app, it would log me out automatically. However, I did just log out, but let's go back and let's try to log back in. And it let me log back in. That's not good. Oh no, I must have created a new name actually, because I didn't type my email address wrong. It's .com, not .co. So, yep, that's what it did. So it automatically created. But that's okay. We'll use this for now because let's go to my favorites. Those are there. So it already has those. Let's go to, okay, I'm going to make a caramel latte one of my favorites. And then caramel latte's there. But then let's sign out. And I'm not a user. Yep. Favorites. Oh, yep, it's there. So, okay. Let's go back. Create a new conversation. We're running into some context issues there. Okay, the favorites are universal. They show for everybody. Favorites should be set only to that specific user. You should have to be signed in and logged in and have an account to create favorites under your account. And that should also be connected to the user's profile through Convex using that database. So again, just not sure if the favorites wasn't set up correctly and it was set up to always show for everybody. That's not how it should be. I'm not sure if that's how it was, or if I'm not sure if favorites didn't get converted to use Convex, but we'll find out. See, yeah, there's no information here. We have the menu items. Okay, awesome. Should be doing pretty good on credits. We're getting there. We're about an hour and a half in. We have to fix how some things work. We have to get the database fully functioning. And then we need to add an admin because right now we have no admin features at all. So I can't, adjust menu items. I can't mark stuff as out of stock, but we'll build all that functionality here shortly. Okay, yeah, it seems like a few different things weren't updated to use Convex, so we're going to make sure that it is. Yep, AI is fixing all that now. And I know in general what it's doing, but not so much that I can read it line for line and follow along. But I do understand that it's trying to update the database and the item IDs to function through Convex as opposed to the local storage that we had, which is what we need because the local storage, while helpful and useful, only works on my machine. So the moment I share the link to someone else, they're not going to see all the same stuff that my app displays. Just like if I have an account that I set up through here on my local storage, I can't send the link to a friend and then use it on their device, whether phone or computer and try to log in with that same account, because it won't register that there's an account with that email address made, because it's not registering it from the cloud. It's pulling it from my local machine specifically only, which is exactly what we don't want. And again, as you're seeing, I'm letting AI handle all the heavy lifting and do everything for me. This is done. Everything's updated. Let's go check it out. Okay, no favorites are showing. I'm not logged in. I'm a guest. So let's see what happens if I log in. I'll use the .co again, because that should work. Yep, it worked. I'm logged in. Favorites. I don't have any favorites yet. Let's add some. We'll say I like lattes and muffins. Oh, they're my favorites. Now let's sign out and favorites. Perfect. Nothing. That's good. That's good. And then orders. Okay. Okay, awesome. We have a checkout flow. We didn't have that before. I think this was built when we added Convex and rearranged the database. Sweet. Now we have sign in. The Google and the iOS don't work. That's because we need a setup for that to work, and it's pretty intricate. If you've never done it before and you're not technical, I personally would say it's hella confusing and you will run into some issues. The AI can walk you through it, however. If you want to do it and have the AI walk you through it and it be, a far easier setup process, I would probably recommend using Clerk, which is clerk.dev. And that's what we're going to ask for Claude to set up for me. Add in our user authentication to be performed by Clerk. I want to be able to sign in, sign out, sign up. And when we sign up or sign in, I want to be able to use Google or iOS as well. And much like the same, it should be able to give me a link or something to sign into my Clerk account. If you don't have a Clerk account, you would just make one real quick and get everything set up. Now we're going to have to get Clerk to handle the authentication, which is the signing up of users and the logging in and out, but also to work with Convex to read and pass the data. So if we create a new user, for instance, using Clerk, so I log into the app, I use Google to sign in and create my account, that's all done with Clerk. But it also has to populate that I'm a new user in the database, which is Convex. So we need to make sure Clerk and Convex are talking to each other. And again, these are just some of the things that some of the other tools handle for you. It's back and saying it's what it's updated and what it's changed, and that it's updated to add Clerk, but also it has to execute its plan, which is to update the pages to use Clerk and sync it to Convex, which is exactly what we were talking about and exactly what I want. So I'm just going to accept and we'll let it cook up a little more and we'll be right back. Okay, so it built everything out just the way I asked and what we needed, and it gave me the next steps what I need to do. It says I need to go to clerk.com and make an account, create a new Clerk application, enable OAuth, all these steps. So we're going to actually do that. I have a Clerk account, so I'm just going to log in, but we're going to, go through these steps. I don't know if that's, the app's down for a second, but it could be because Clerk isn't activated. So again, when you have a white screen, you normally have an error, but when you're adding new features using like Convex or Clerk, using a third party, until that's hooked up, you'll also get the white screen. So if I go to inspect and see what the issues are, it's probably going to say, Clerk errors. So it's just because Clerk isn't set up yet. So nothing to be upset about or fearful of. That's completely fine. And I'm just make this a little bigger so people can see what I'm doing here. Sign in with Google. Okay, so I have a workspace already and I have projects in my workspace, but we're going to create a new one and we're going to call it Claude Code Coffee App. Or maybe it's called Coffee Shop somewhere else. I'm trying to stick to it. And then the ways you can log in is with your email, with Google, and with Apple. That's the other way we had it. So we're going to create application. Okay, boom. It's already going. Now it depends like if it's a Next.js, a React, or what type of code we want and copy this prompt. But we can just go back and then enable that we did that. Copy your Clerk publishable key, so your API key, and bring it back here. So let's go back. Need our API key. Let's see. And this is my publishable key, so this is like I can use this. But again, y'all won't see it, of course, because I'm gonna hide all this. But this is where you go to get everything. You're not trying to gatekeep, just trying to be safe with security. But all right, and then we need to go to environmental local. So again, this tab I was in was the files. So we just click over here to files and then environmental local. And again, I'm going to blur this out so you're not seeing everything, but I'm putting my key here as I'm supposed to. Then I'm going to save, but exit out, go back to Claude Code. So then we're going to run those. Okay, we're going to copy this error. Might not be a big deal because some errors you can still run the app, but we're going to see. Actually, I'm going to try to run the app next. I'm not sure if that's going to work because we might already have the app running. Yep, there it is. So it's already running. Couple little errors, but nothing major. Can I still sign in with my account? Okay, this is ugly. It has to be fixed, but this is just the default styling and setup of Clerk. So let's just see if my account still works. Because again, we've been changing our authenticators. Should be using the same database and everything, but again, I just want to see. See, it says we cannot find your account. All right, so let's use Google to make an account. I'm signed in. Yep, use my profile picture from Google. All right, we're in a pretty good spot. We're in a pretty good place. Oh, this is like some crazy error. I don't know what this is. Favorites has gone crazy. Okay, no problem. I'm going to start a new conversation. I'm going to give it that error. Then I'm going to say the favorites isn't working. I don't know if it's because we added Clerk into the workflow, but when I go to the favorites page, it just keeps reloading over and over and over again really fast. So it's like flashing. And we'll give it to that. Give it to Claude Code right after the Convex situation is fixed. Okay. Just go over here. It says we need to delete a user, which is me. This doesn't make sense anymore as I was before. So that should help. So let's say I deleted the user. Proceed. Okay, that's done. Now let's work on this. Yeah, 'cause it's still flashing. Okay. So yeah, I'm pretty sure favorites is broken at the moment. And if we sign in, okay, yep, it's me still. Everything else works, but again, favorites is going to be broke. Yep. Okay, so the AI is working on that though. The authentication, while it looks crazy. Oh, what is that? I don't like that. I should already be signed in. I can basically sign in. Okay, so it said that should work now. Nope. It's still doing the error. I'm going to get the code if I can. I can't because it keeps refreshing. No, that didn't work. It's still refreshing the page on a loop constantly. So let it get another shot at that. But I was going to say we're pretty much approaching 2 hours at this point, and we have some configuring to do. But once completed, we'll have the main bulk of the app minus the admin. But we do have a custom domain and custom authentication. But there seems to be quite a few problems with the authentication. Like it's not registering that I'm signed in on a lot of pages. I can't sign out. So, but we'll get all this squared away. It's one thing after another. We just gotta go through and fix it. I will say, without having made a mobile app before, in my experience, the web apps, community apps, websites, and the things that I have made, this is probably one of the harder things to do, and that's getting Clerk set up with your website. Real, but getting Clerk set up on your website and talking to your database can be difficult. I've achieved it and had it working with Superbase before, but again, we're using Convex this time just because I like Convex. But it could still prove to be a challenge. So we're just working through it. Again, that's the plus size to other apps and other app builders that handle that for you, that handle all the database work, handle the authentication. Okay, so it says should be working now. Still not loading up right. Okay. Well, let's refresh. Okay, let's address the other issues. I'm logged in with my Google account, so through Clerk. However, not all the pages show I'm logged in, as there's still sign in buttons and there's no way to sign out. It's like the entire app, every page isn't recognizing that I'm signed in to my Google account through Clerk. And basically, we're just going to let Claude Code try to handle this. Again, it's kind of frustrating because we're using the smartest model that it has. So like it should understand it, it could get it. Now, normally what I would do, again, the challenge here is to use Claude Code. So I'm trying to leave it all to its own devices. It's all got to, make it happen. Me using this inside of the IDE cursor, I have access to this panel over here, which has access to tons of models. As you can see, like GPT 5.2 codecs. There's also 5.3 codecs at the time of recording this. So I could use that and maybe it would help solve the bugs. It's really good at debugging mainly. So that's why I say that. But, we're just going to keep working through the situation here with Claude Code. Just keep working through it. It's, saying some issues with some files are missing and it's working through it. So we're going to get it going and see if it works. Okay, let's refresh. Profile page still shows sign in, create account. Okay, so it shows there's more steps to what we have to set up. So be right back and we're going to get this. Okay, so it says I need to change and get my Stripe API key, and I'm gonna have to put it in the front end and Convex. So we'll go to Stripe and get that set up first. So once we end up setting up the Stripe API key, the app should come back. Okay, we're gonna create a sandbox. We're gonna call this coffee, Claude Code coffee shop. Okay, awesome. And okay, there's that. I'm going to save that. I'm going to exit out. Then it says, let's go back to Stripe and get my secret key. Go to Convex. And I'm not sure where to put it in Convex. Environment variables. Okay, cool. And then paste the value in. What's the name you all had for this? Stripe secret key. Not a huge fan of that name. Kind of just, hey, here's my secret key. But we'll use it for now. Okay, so everything's been added. Should be good to go now. And we're back. We're back in the building. So we have Stripe now. This is good to go. So again, we have everything else. Let's just do a new drink in my favorites. Okay, yep, everything's still working. So let's do a cart. Let's do an order. Got the orders right. The images are still broken, but much better. Okay, we can use card number 4242, 4242, 4242, and 4242. I think we can use any date. Okay, it's processing. Oh, okay, so it says we placed the order. Good freaking job. Good to go. All right, let's check this out. So we have the order here. Let's check the admin orders. We have the order here. This is the new order that was just placed. Then let's go into data. Oh, let's go to orders. Oh, no. There we go. There's our table items. So now if we do orders, yep, our orders are placed. This is the most recent order. We need to require the guest email and the guest name well, I guess we don't because I had the account, so I should be set up correctly. Okay, good deal. Now let's check Stripe. There's our order that we just placed. This is what we would get after Stripe takes its fees. And we're set up. we are good to go. We officially have everything I feel that we need to launch the app minus, native mobile version. But like web version, we're pretty good to go. I'm even going to push, let's go back to Cursor, push to main and deploy to Vercel through command line interface. So I'm gonna let it do that, but I think this is a good spot. We're going to upload here. Once we have the publish link, I'm going to use that to view the website on the app on my phone, save it as a PWA. Once I can confirm that all works, then we just have to hook up the native mobile ability, which, doing a little research into this, turns out that any app using React, Vite, that type of frame used with capacitor JS. So if we use capacitor JS, we'll be able to wrap the app and turn it into a mobile app. So technically, if you go back to the first video and where I stopped at the end and said Lovable didn't have the built-in features that you would have to use a third party like capacitor JS, we're actually about to set that up here in this build. So if you want to follow along and take your Lovable project and wrap it, you could do that as well. So, but regardless, for a Lovable project, for this project, any project that's using, React, Vite, that combination, you can use capacitor JS. So that's what we'll be sure to do. Okay, so we need to add Stripe. I'm going to see if it can add the environment variable for me. I could do it on the back end. It's not the end of the world, but if it can do it for me, it just saves me a step. And it can do it, but obviously it shows it. So definitely going to want to hide those and kill all these keys when I get done. Again, be sure that you're not pasting your keys anywhere, showing your keys while live streaming. You want to keep these secure and shared with no one. Okay, so it says it's set up, good to go. This is our Vercel app, Vercel link. And again, I could also find this on my Vercel dashboard. It's right here. And that was the last deployment link, but we have just our actual link. So it's going to copy and paste the URL. And I'm going to check it out on the phone. All right, the app looks good on the phone. It works. I can sign in with Google, I think, here. Yep. It has everything from the web view, all my orders and everything. So then I'm just going to go to add to home screen and save this. I'm just going to put CC at the end so we know this is the Claude Code version. All right, and then I'll just open it up. Slow up. Yep, it works. It is a true PWA. I think some of the styling on the PWA version isn't 100% correct, but we can tweak that and work on it. But as far as functionality and starting to test and order coffees and see how the application works, it 100% works. So very impressed. Super cool that we got this working. Very, very hyped. And that's going to be it for this video. I'll take a moment to show it was able to build out the mobile versions for iOS and Android. But again, that full process will be shown in the final video where we compare it against the other tools. But let's break down and score the overall build experience. For ease of use and user experience, Claude Code scored a 4.5 out of 5. Prompting is direct and straightforward. It's easy to ask for what you want and to make revisions. However, I am docking 0.5 because there's no onboarding or guide to doing certain tasks, like deploying an app. You either learn from scratch or lean on prior experience with previous build tools or basic web development. But I'll definitely say this is hard to provide on a tool like Claude Code when everyone is building something different and unique. It has so many use cases, it's hard to say what needs to be covered. But overall, this was a pleasant, easygoing experience. For build speed, I gave Claude a 3.5 out of 5. Speed is Claude Code's weakest area. It thinks between prompts, so you have to wait a while between updates unless the change is very minor. There's also a bit of a learning curve, especially if you've never used an AI tool like this one or never used an IDE. I had never deployed an iOS or Android app, so I had to figure out the requirements, ask Claude Code, and then verify it was building the right things. What you don't know can slow you down. The total time to create this project in real hours was about 12 to 16 hours. For customization and control, I give Claude a 5 out of 5. Claude Code builds anything, no matter the spec, the feature set, or development language. And any rough edges you encounter can be polished with more prompting and iteration over time. This is the most control you'll get from any tool in this category. For web and native mobile support, I gave Claude a 4.5 out of 5. Excellent support for web, iOS, and Android. I'm only taking half a point because, again, there is no built-in guide or preset path. It only follows the path you give it, whether that's for converting a web app to native mobile or building the native mobile version from scratch. I got everything working, but tools like Base44 offer a deployment guide to make this a bit easier for the first timers. And when it comes to cost effectiveness, I give Claude a 3.5 out of 5. Pricing is on the expensive side, and the full $100 budget went to a 5X Max plan. The $20 plan exists, but you'll hit limits fast as well as a cap on your daily output. Also, there's rumors of taking Claude Code out of the $20 plan completely. The $100 plan gave me more than enough headroom for this build. It's definitely a solid value, just a little on the pricey side. And with that, Claude Code scores a solid 21 out of 25. It's excellent for most users and most use cases, although completely non-technical users and first-time users may struggle a bit with the learning curve.